Alright, we are going to talk about parallel lines cut by the transversal. So, you already know what parallel lines are. This is parallel lines. And the line that cuts through them is known as the transversal. We are going to use colors to color coordinate. So, these are equivalent to each other. And these are equivalent to each other. I want you to do that on your paper so you can reference this all the time. So, our first vocabulary word, I want you to write all of these vocabulary words down, is vertical angles. Vertical angles are across from each other and they are congruent. Remember, congruent means equal. We have angles 1 and 3, 5 and 7. They're all the same color, are vertical angles. 2 and 4, 8 and 6 are vertical angles. They are across from each other. Alternate interior angles are angles that are opposite sides of the transversal and, that's a key point, inside the parallel lines. So we have 4 and 6 are alternate interior angles and 3 and 5, which are alternate interior angles. These are also congruent, which means they are equal. They are the same angle measurement. We have alternate exterior angles, are angles on opposite sides of the transversal, and they are outside the parallel lines. These are also congruent, which means they are equal. We have 1 and 7, which are alternate exterior, and 2 and 8, which are alternate exterior angles. Corresponding angles are angles that are similar in location. So if I were to cut this in half right here, pick this point up and place it exactly on top of that point, 1 and 5 would overlap, 4 and 8 would overlap, 2 and 6 would overlap, 3 and 7 would overlap. So that's what corresponding angles means. They're in similar locations, just the street up. Next, we have adjacent angles. Adjacent angles are angles that share a side and a vertex. These are supplementary angles, which add to be 180 degrees. 1 and 2 are adjacent angles. They're next door neighbors. 2 and 3, 3 and 4, 4 and 5, 5 and 6, 6 and 3, 6 and 7, 7 and 8, 8 and 5. Those are all adjacent angles. Same side interior angles. That's angles that are on the same side of the transversal and they are inside the parallel lines. These are supplementary. They add to be 180 degrees. So that would be 3 and 6, 4 and 5. And then we have same side exterior angles, are angles that are on the same side of the transversal and they are outside the set of parallel lines. Again, these are supplementary angles, so they add to be 180 degrees. That is 1 and 8 and 2 and 7. I want you to write all of these vocabulary words down. So if you need to pause the video so you can write, you can. But all of these vocabulary words need to be written down. Now we're going to do some examples. I always like to go back through and do my highlighting. So we had 1 and 4, 5 and 8. We had 2, 3, 6, 7. So 2, 3, 6, and 7. Did not realize the answer is printed on this. Alright, and then we have 1, 4, 5, and 8. Those are all the same. So we know that 15, angle 4 and angle 1 are vertical angles. Those are the same. So we can say that angle 1 is 15 degrees. If I were to pick this top part up and place it on that part, these would overlap. So that means angle 5 is 15 degrees and angle 8 is 15 degrees. We also know, since these are same side interior angles, these are supplementary. They share the long straight angle. So that means these two angles add to be 180 degrees. So I have 15 plus angle 6 equals 180 degrees. I need to subtract 15 from both sides, and that's angle 6 equals 5, 7 minus 1 is 6, 165 degrees. So that means everything else is 165 degrees. This seems super easy today, but again, tomorrow we're going to add parallel or expressions into this, and it's going to make it a little bit harder. Alright, example 2. Again, I'm going to color code because I like to see the visual. So 1, 3, 5, and 8. 4, 2, 6, and 7. Alright, so we have we know that the measure of angle 1 is 160 degrees. Since these are all equivalent, we know that all of these are 160 degrees. We also know that angle 1 and 4 are supplementary angles since they share a side and a vertex. So that means these two angles should add together to give me 180. So I have I have 160 degrees plus angle 4 equals 180. So we're going to subtract 160 from both sides. And I have angle 4 equals 20 degrees. So that means everything else is 20 degrees.